Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Trading with Ashley show. Well, if you have been playing earnings from watching any of my videos, you are doing very well, and I'm very excited. I had asked all of you to go ahead and subscribe so that I could bring you some incredible plays this week, and I'm glad for those of you that were able to take advantage of it. I know within my community, we were really enjoying all of the trades that we were doing, and we are gearing up for next week because we are starting at $50,000 challenge, and we will be deploying a variety of different ways that we will be trading. So I'm excited for everyone to learn. Now, I have a few people to celebrate. I wanted to talk to you about it. One, I want to celebrate Charlie. Charlie, we are so excited for you, our newest TWA millionaire. Now, Charlie was somebody that has been with me for a year now, and it is so exciting to see somebody reach that millionaire status right there at about the year mark. Now, Charlie, I know you love to play golf, and now that you have $1 million, and that's going to help you make a lot more money trading. And Coach Tim, he wanted me to make sure, and you remember your promise to buy that beautiful country club house on the golf course for your wife. All right, so we're excited about that. I have another millionaire that I spent time with today. Now, Frank has been my student for a while, and we have really enjoyed working together, and he has become a very good trader. And so you are going to be able to see a little bit of our conversation today because I thought it may help you. We have Palantir earnings coming up, and I'm going to look at a few potential plays that you might want to consider. But also, you might be in the situation like I am in and like he is in, that we got a lot of Palantir shares when it was much smaller, and now it has ballooned and taken over so much of our portfolio. And I'm sure you're wondering, should I take profit? What do I do with the profit? Will it continue to run? Well, usually a balanced approach is the best approach. So we are going to look at what I shared with him and something you may want to consider. It has something to do with maybe taking profit on some of your shares and then transferring into Leap. So I'm going to show you what I shared with him. I'm going to give you a little bit of insight to that coaching session so that you can get a sense for if this could help you at all. And then stay to the end because I do want to go over potential plays with you that may help you make a little bit of more money on this elevated IV that we are seeing with Palantir. Let's jump into the computer and see what I have for you. So let's take a look at the chart on Palantir so that we can get a better sense of a good entry if you decide to go ahead and take profit on some of your shares. So if you look at this, let's zoom out a little so that we can get a clear picture. You can see right here, the middle of the Bollinger Band is right here at about 182. So if you are going to take profit, then you may want to consider starting to get back in at about the 182 level. Now consider this, if you're taking profit right at around the $200 level, then you are getting quite the discount to get back in. So you could do a couple of things. You could do the core trading method. Now the core trading method has you selling your shares higher, creating more money, and then using that additional money to expand your position with Palantir by buying more shares than you would have if you would have never taken profit. So that's something for you to consider. So one thing you may want to do is stagger your sold puts and do this before earnings so that you can take advantage of that elevated IV. So maybe you do something around that 185 mark. Maybe you go ahead and do something at 180, maybe 175. If you do that, that's right here close to the 50-day moving average. And then maybe you go even further and do something right here around this 100-day moving average at about the 160 mark. So let's go take a look at the premium that Palantir is paying if we go out this far and if you decide to stagger your trades. Before we look at specific plays, let's take a look at expected move. So the way that you do this is you look at the first expiration date after earnings, and earnings is on the 3rd, so we're going to look at the 7th. And you take the at the money put premium, which is $9.19, you add it to the at the money call premium, which is $11.51. That equals 20.7. Now, for one standard deviation, you multiply that by 0.85, and that equals 17.59. So basically, the way you figure the expected move is you take that 192 and you let's subtract 18. So that's 174. So the expected move is potentially 174 on the put side. Now on the call side, you would take the 192 and you would add the 18. So you're looking at around 210 on the call side. So if you were going to sell calls on Palantir very brave if you do that. But if you are determined to do that, you might want to consider this 210 area right here. It's paying right now about $451 to agree to give up those shares. And you see here that it does have the largest amount of open interest. So this would be a spot where after these start triggering, you may potentially see a retreat, and then you might be able to pick up the shares at a lower cost than what you gave them up for. That's 210. Now, if we're going to look at a sold put, I do believe going right after earnings is a way too risky, but if I have some risky people out there and you're just so desperate for Palantir, let's see what you could pick it up for. If you know that that expected move gets you down to 174, then you might want to line yourself up right here at 175. And it's currently paying $3.08. So you could get $300 for putting up the money to buy Palantir at 175 a share. Now, for the trades that I am going to personally consider taking, I'm going to go out a little bit further. I am going to start this by going to the third Friday in November. So here we are at 11/21. The last time that Palantir sold off, it was bought very quickly thereafter. So this one may be a potential safe trade. So if I wanted to hit the middle of that Bollinger Band, then right here, 182.50 might be a good spot. That's 766. The delta on that is 0.3. And you will typically go with the zero point 0.3 delta if you're truly interested in picking up the stock. So if I had no exposure to Palantir, or if I had given up my shares and I wanted to try to get some back, I might go right here at the 182.50. Now, I am going to go a little bit further out. I'm going to shoot for December, and I'm going to look at right here. Let's go 1, 2, 3 at 12.19. For this one, I am going to look at that 175 strike right here. This was a good potential entry, and this does line up with the expected move. So if you wanted to take a little bit less risk on because you're going further out and get a little bit more premium, you could go out to 175 and get almost $900 for going out to December. And that's a great return annualized. Now, if you want to take the least riskiest trade, you might consider going to January, February, even March if you don't mind tying up your money in this trade until it works out. But if you wanted to go with 165, then you could go right here, 165, looking at March of next year. That is going to pay you $1,380. So that's a really nice premium. That's a great return. But you might want to consider if you do that and Palantir does surge after earnings, then something that you were paid $13.80 for, this will whittle down in short order to around 50%, maybe after a couple of weeks. And then you could go ahead and buy that contract back and free up the cash. Now, I'm sure some of you are interested in a credit spread. I'm going to look at a potential spread for you that you may want to consider. For my credit spread, I do like going out a little bit further. I'm going to look at January for this credit spread. And you have the various levels of support, but I am going to start right here at that 165 level. Now, if I were going to do this, I think it's a little bit too risky for a spread because you can see right here it's 0.2 delta. I might sell a put at that level, but if I'm going to do a spread, I want to be even safer. So I am going to go right down here to 150. It's a 0.14 delta. I feel safer there. I am going to sell that put. I'm going to make this a $10 wide spread. So I'm going to look at the 140 for my purchased put. If you send this to a ticket, this is what it looks like. You have the January 16th day. You have the 150 sold put, the 140 purchased put. One contract represents 100 shares. Currently, this is paying $1.55. So you can see right here, you will get $155 for this trade, and you'll have to put up $1,000. The reason why you only see $845 is it's giving you this credit for the $155. So that may be a reasonable trade that only requires $1,000 for those of you that want to get in on the Palantir game. If you want to watch me coach my student Frank on what to do with his very large Palantir position, you can watch the next segment right here.
So uh, I see so much success on your program. It seems like every other day now we get a new 7-digit player. Joe, then Susie, then Bob, then Bill, then Mary, and guess what? Millionaires Club. It's just crazy.
Well, I want to say I think you're one of the first ones that we celebrated being a millionaire.
You think so?
I think you kicked it off. So let's take a look at that portfolio so we can just celebrate again because you're up about another 300,000 since we announced billionaire status, I think.
May 21st. That's the start date. Then I came into TWA, trading with Ashley. Yeah.
And so that looks like your account was at about just maybe close to about 600,000.
Well,
And
you
so
can look in the upper left-hand corner, it's $586,862.
wonderful. So you've almost tripled this account in,
Year and a
that
half.
is yeah, a year and a half. That is amazing, and I remember visiting with you when we see that April dip right there. We were all experiencing it together,
Mhm.
and I remember us saying, "Just stay the course," because you were in some quality plays that were just having, temporary cool down, and I'm so glad you did because now when you look at right here, this is the peak when we first celebrated you. But then we had the drawdown, but you stayed the course and you actually took some really good plays. And now look at that recovery. Now you have far superseded where you were even when we had this conversation initially. So this just goes to show you if you apply the principles, no matter what market we're in, you can actually have outsized growth if your stomach can handle a roller coaster ride and you're in quality companies.
Now, 1317 is all-time high. It's never been that high before. Never, ever.
That is beautiful. I'm so proud of you. So today we're going to talk about, because you were sharing with me that at the time that you purchased Palantir, you were applying the rules, not overexposure to anyone's stock. But now that Palantir has grown so much and we have earnings coming up, we need to strategize on a way to cash in some of what you have been able to develop over the last year and a half, and then look at possibly redeploying some of that so you keep exposure to Palantir, but maybe in a different way. You could jump over earnings and we could sell either at the money calls. That way you're a little bit protected if we have some slight pull down, because those will make profit as Palantir is cooling down. Or you can go a little bit higher in your strike in the case Palantir runs. Want you to consider holding on to some of your core position.
Mhm.
But here's the beauty of it is, if you see that these shares are called away and you lock in some profit and you still want more exposure to Palantir, especially on any kind of pullbacks, then you may want to convert some of that profit, Frank, into leaps that go
Huh.
out to 2028 on Palantir. That way, you're not putting all of your profit back into the trade, but as you know from purchasing leaps, you are able to have your money stretch so much further. And I would wait for red day, and I would absolutely wait till after earnings so you're not paying inflated prices. But that might be a good strategy where you can hold on to a lot of the cash that you've created. You can use that for other ticker symbols, but if you want to regain some of that exposure based on the sell that took place, you can do that with leaps and you can leverage your dollars and take a lot of that profit and not have to put near as much back into the actual shares. I hope this gives you something to strategize with over the weekend so that you can make the best decision for yourself. Remember, if you're with me trading with Ashley, there is no trader left behind. I picked out another video that will captivate your attention and help you learn. You can find that right here.